Hey, beautiful people.
Hi.
It's Dr. D.
And Aaron.
And Aaron, yay. I'm here with one of my students, former student. How long has it been since you took my class? Like 3 years?
3 years.
I think 3 years.
3 years.
And she still comes back to my office to have conversations. And so, and I'm privileged to have these conversations with her from time to time. And this is so my passion because even though the class has ended 3 years later, I still get a chance to impart. I still get a chance to hear their stories and talk about life and concepts. And so she came to my office this morning and we've been talking about forgiveness. We didn't know that's what we were going to talk about. And we're not going to tell the story because we're going to respect people involved and organizations and all of that. But it was so great. The nuggets were so great that I asked her if we could just share some of it real quick, particularly because this is like the holiday season. Even if it wasn't the holiday season, it would still be good. But during the holiday season, a lot of people struggle with the fact that my life is not perfect. Like Christmas, you're supposed to be celebrating, oh my gosh, life is great, happy holidays. And a lot of people don't feel happy holidays, right? And so I thought this was a good time to share a tip on how to navigate your feelings when you feel like you have been harmed, you have been violated, you have been done wrong. And the story that we were talking about, certainly somebody intended harm for you in a professional organization, intended great harm. And not just you, but other people. I mean, they had it out. And you feel like that, you know, when somebody's got it out for you, and they're trying to end your dream, it is their fantasy. You used the word, it was her fantasy. And we were celebrating the fact that somebody else's fantasy of what they wanted to happen to us, to her, to you, it did not happen. And we were celebrating the process of how you stopped the fantasy, right? And so again, we're talking around the issue because for some, you know, we're wanting to, of course, make sure we don't run into any legalities and all that kind of stuff. But also, again, just to tell your story, not so much theirs, but your story of how someone came after you and it did not work. And we see this all the time, whether it's coming after you in the vein of sexism, racism, classism, the things they were saying to you. And this was a professional, somebody that was a professional saying derogative things, labeling you. And what called you an indigent?
Yeah, indigent.
And was it disgrace? Oh, that was my story. Somebody, a professional called me, said I was a disgrace to the organization and a disgrace to myself, but that wasn't the word you used. It's indigent, and I think it was something else that they called you.
Just
It was something else. I can't remember the word, but
basically, we can't say that word. It's not socially appropriate.
It's not socially appropriate, right? They might cancel our video. Facebook might take down our video if we use all the language that this professional used at a credible organization here in Florida. And so you had to stand up for yourself. You stood up for yourself. You called a meeting with the administrators, with the leadership, and these weren't small people. When we say small people, right? See there, I love the language. She was like, I had to deliver myself. You had to deliver yourself from her fantasy. And I said these weren't small people. And I didn't mean that as we're small. I meant their role in the organization and their title in the organization was very pronounced. And so what I love about it is that we were talking about how you delivered yourself from their fantasy of what was going to happen. So when people try to do you harm, whether it's in the name of classism, racism, sexism, or just out of pure evil, we can't even name it. Somebody just being evil. Somebody just being evil and unjust because they feel like they can. And so what I loved about it is that Aaron was talking about how you just made a decision that you're not going to be anybody's victim.
Nope. You can't be anybody's victim. You can't.
And then we got to a point in her story where she said, I can forgive everybody except for 2 people. And so when she was talking through it, I'm like, no, Aaron, you're wrong. You have already forgiven them. You just don't have the vocabulary for it. And this is how I know that she's operating forgiveness, because forgiveness is about, again, releasing yourself from their fantasy. What they attempted to do was to stop you from giving. They attempted to stop you from giving of yourself to accomplish your dream. They attempted to stop you from giving yourself permission to stand up for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
They attempted to stop you from giving. And when you decided that your fantasy will not stop me from giving myself permission to be, you gave yourself permission to be. When you held that meeting and so forth, you researched your rights. Erin researched her rights. You know, this is my right according to this amendment, according to that amendment, so forth. You researched your rights.
I did.
And you went into that meeting. You were like, this is my right.
I laid it out.
You laid it out.
I laid them out.
You laid them out. That's what I'm talking about. And that's exactly, that was her language when we were talking off camera. She was like, I laid them out. I laid them out, Dr. Jones. I'm like, that's right. But you laid them out with the truth.
And
they
with
had
respect.
to face. And with respect. Well, truth is respectful. You can walk in shame and condemnation, but you've got to figure once Erin put truth on the table, this is what was done. This is what was intended. I'm here to put truth on the table. You guys figure out what you're going to do with that truth. Now, they can walk in shame for the rest of their lives about the truth that manifested, or they can choose to honor the truth by doing what is right from this day forward. Yes. But you walked in there knowing your rights. Information is powerful, people. Research, read. And if you can't research and read for yourself, get somebody that can. So you went in there in your power, and you decided that you gave yourself permission to be, to exist. And then I loved it. She was talking about how not only did her standing in her right deliver herself from the other person's fantasy, and she gave herself permission to be, to exist, and to honor her worth of what was going to happen to her and what was not going to happen. Because you spoke up, you freed other people. Because other people were trapped in this fantasy of this person too.
Yeah.
And so you were able to free other people.
Yeah.
And so then one of the people,
you deliver one, you deliver all.
You deliver one, you deliver all, right? That's what Dr. I've got this little book over here with quotes from Dr. King. And that's why Dr. King said, we're not free until everybody's free. And that's why we're still on this path of righteousness, treating people with dignity. When we started our conversation today, I was like, namaste. The divine in me respects the divine in you. And you recognize that somebody was trying to disrespect your divinity. And you stood up. And so this was another part in the conversation off camera that I love, because after you delivered everybody with your own sense of worth, and you offered, that's my office phone over there, and we got to talk to y'all later. After you offered worth, you reclaimed your worth, offered worth to other people. Somebody then tried to come back and be her friend. And you said,
no, you're not welcome in my space.
I love it. You're not welcome in my space. You have the right to decide who deserves to be in your space. You have that right.
I do.
And if they want to earn the right to come back into your space, they can work on earning it. But you have a right. You don't get to be in my space after you violate me. And so when Erin was saying, I can forgive everybody about this person and that person, I'm like, no, you actually have already forgiven them, because as Tyler Perry, Dr. Maya Angelou, Oprah Winfrey, and others have said, forgiveness, and T.D. Jakes, forgiveness is not about them. It is about you. It is about giving yourself the power to be. And Maya Angelou has an amazing definition that I've mentioned before of forgiveness. Her definition of forgiveness is to give for. The moment you resist their fantasy of harm and you give for you, you gave yourself permission to be. I gave for me.
At tenfold, because you gave for you and other people too. Yeah.
That is the power of forgiveness. The fact that you nullified their fantasy. You canceled the operation of their fantasy to do you harm. And you gave yourself permission, because that's what they wanted. They wanted to take away your gift of permission.
Can't do that.
Girl, my office has been on fire this morning, and I love it. I don't even get paid for this part. But since I am on the clock, I'm going to get off Facebook. And I'll probably go on the computer. And I'm not even going to lie. No, I'm on the clock, but this is my job.
Mentoring.
This is my job. This is a part of my job. And I love it because one of the things you said is that the organization even looked down on this institution because we're part of a state college, traditionally a community college, but we migrated into being a four-year institution. And so the organization that you're with, you even said they looked down on this organization. You're like, no, you're not going to look down on this organization.
Those are my stepping blocks.
Because this organization was a stepping block, like you just said. It was a place that imparted,
Building.
yes, a sense of building, a sense of self-worth. And I'm just honored that I had an opportunity to have you in my class
Yes.
and help be a part of this process.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, this is my joy. This is so my joy. So yes, I take back what I said a few minutes ago. I'm on the clock, but I'm on the clock for this reason. This is why I'm on the clock.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is why you clock in every day.
Bye.
Bye.
Give for.
Forgive.
That's forgiveness. Give for. Give yourself permission to be. Give yourself permission to express your right, your worth. And you don't even have to be rude and nasty about it. She was never rude or nasty. She just stood in her sense of self-worth. And then you decide who earns the right to be in your space.
Yeah.
And you don't have to accept everybody in your space.
You don't.
Love it. Love it. Love you. Love you. Bye.
Bye.